Welcome to Bracket in Session. I am your host Alejandro, or Mexi as I'm known in the Smash community. In this show, special guests and myself analyze and nerd out about Smash Bros. Ultimate, its competitive meta, and major performances in our local scene. In this episode, we'll discuss the Game Expo 2026, a Melbourne major that occurred in March, the stories, the upsets, and more. I suggest you grab your favorite drink, relax, and enjoy the show, as Bracket is now in session. Welcome everyone to the show. This is, although not the very first episode I'm recording, it is the first episode of the show, which is very exciting. So this is Bracket in Session. The way the show usually goes is I'll be joined by a guest talking about a character, as the tagline will be saying how to play them, how to beat them, and more. The more being how are they doing in the meta. But a different type of episode that I will like to do, and this pilot episode, is talk about majors in the Australian scene. And we've just had one a couple months back, in March. We had TGX 2026, which is what this episode will be about. Another thing, every episode I'll have a guest and they'll give a background of their story with the game, how they went from casual to competitive, and how they've practiced. So, being the host, I should introduce myself, because I will not get a chance to again. Pac-Man won't come until the 55th episode. So, I am Mexi, or Alejandro, whichever one you want to refer to me as. My story with the game is, I have to credit the family YouTube channel FGTV for exposing me to the game. They played it like with their family, and I was like, whoa, this looks like a fun game. So in Christmas 2014, I got the 3DS version, and I played that very casually with my brother. And I was like, okay, this is a fun game, but like, it didn't seem like it was going to become a part of my life until October 2020 when Steve was announced for Smash Ultimate. And since that 2014 Christmas, I wanted Steve in the game. So I was like, okay, this will absolutely be a game that I will buy. So that was on my mind since October of that year. And the next year, which is when I turned 18 in 2021, I was going through a bit of a rough patch. So my parents were like, you know what? You deserve a Nintendo Switch with Smash Bros. And I was like, yo! So I got it on my 18th birthday. This was like online school, so I proceeded to do nothing all day other than play Steve. And I was really bad. And then when I made Elite Smash, I thought I was a goat. I was like, oh, I could like... Because I read somewhere, it may or may not be true, that if you make Elite Smash with with X character, you are top 10% of ELO with that character. I think that's how that works. So I was like, oh, I'm a top 10% Steve player in the world? Oh, mate. I remember going up to my mom and be like, Mom, look what I can do! And I showed her like the 0 to death that I could do on like a NES CPU in training mode, and she was like, yeah, you're very good at this game. So I went to my first tournament, which was Temple Smash 22 or 21, and I went 0-2. I lost. My very first set was a Steve Ditto, funnily enough, against Epic Cyborg, and then I got owned by Aiden. I think I got timed out, so that was my first bracket. Then I had a bit of a break. Vic Arcadian 2, September 2022. I won my first set because those Arcadians, which are like very beginner friendly, they have what's called a waterfall system, where if you do, depending on how you do, you qualify for a different bracket with other people who performed about the same. So I went like 1-2 in the main bracket, and my one win was off of a DQ by Conrad. Shoutouts to Conrad. So I beat like 3 people, and then I went 0-2 afterwards. Or I lost 2 sets in a row after that. And around that time, there was like the Victorian Player Showcase was released for that period, and I was like, whoa, a top 40 ranking? I want to make that. And it didn't go very well. Like, I kept playing Steve, and my grounding achievement was taking DD to game 3 on mains, because at the time they were playing Kazuya, and then I got better played, which happens to us all. And I beat, like, Rambo and Neek, and that was all I accomplished with the Steve. Then he got banned, and we'll get to this, because the rest of the world is probably curious about how Australia banned Steve, and don't worry, we'll get to that when we make the Steve episode. That will probably make about like a third of that episode. It's a very interesting topic, and you'll get to find out about the Australian Smash Ultimate Senate, which is a very real thing that exists. And after that, I picked up Pac-Man. I had like a bit of a character crisis. I was like playing Shulk, God forbid. I was playing a bit of Wolf and Wario. until I was like, hey, Pac-Man's kind of like Steve if he was like less good and not DLC. So I picked up Pac-Man and I was like pretty bad at first. So I invested in J Dizzle coaching on Metafy. J Dizzle at the time was the best player in the country. And I started getting better, and then my breakout tournament, BAM 14, I placed 33rd. No one expected that, beating Duon and Crimson. That was very good. And that season, I made 39th on my first debut. And from then on, my highest is 29th, and then I started going a little bit down. So going into the TGX, I was like, I wasn't seeded to do very well. Oh, I guess we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's basically my story with the game and how I got to now. But now, let's get to this topic. My very special guest today is a very valuable member of the community. Probably needs no introduction to anyone in AuSmash, but for everyone else, it's Ravsav. Hello, Ravsav. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
So, Um, I mentioned that Ravsav was a very valuable member in the community, and a big reason for that is this thing called the Ravstats. But I think I can do it no justice introducing it, but he can. So, Ravsav, would you like to talk about a little bit about yourself, your background with the game, and how the Ravstats came to be?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with my background because it goes way, way back. Because in terms of the Smash community, I am considered what is old. Um, mid-20s. You're old. So I remember being in like grade 2, so I would have been 7 or 8, and one of my friends, the first time he invites me to his house, he's like, I have this thing called a GameCube, and I've never heard of this because I didn't have. We weren't allowed consoles yet. And he's like, I got this game called Melee. I knew Pokemon at the time, so I like booted up. I'm like, oh, I know Pikachu. I know Mewtwo. I know some of these characters. I know Mario. Um, and like during primary school, I would go to his house to play because I'm like, oh, this is a really cool game. And then I didn't think about it for a long time. I like very loosely played Smash 4. I remember every time I'd go to a friend's place who has like a Wii U, I'm like, this game is garbage. This game sucks. And really it was just because like I wasn't very good. And then when I was finishing high school, uh, Smash Ultimate was starting to come out, and a vivid memory I have is coming out of my maths exam because I wasn't paying attention to the trailers. And one of my friends who was doing like unscored, so he didn't do the exams, he comes up to me. He's like, "Dude, Piranha Plant is in the game." I'm like, "There's no way. That's not real." And yeah, I look very fondly back on that. And then I got a Switch at the end of 2018, and I started to play Smash Ultimate. I was very like casual at the time. I think I was playing. It was just with friends, and I was playing like Lucas and Mewtwo. I think I played Rob for a little bit, but nothing serious. I can't do the zero to death to save my life. But it got to 2020. I was watching. I was very bored because it was like I was in university, but it was online because of COVID, and I remember watching Moist Critical was hosting some Wi-Fi tournaments, and I heard people complaining about Sonic. Like, we need to ban Sonic. And I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. I wonder if Australia has any like Wi-Fi tournaments. And sure enough, they did. So I like did my little bit in 2020, where I started it as a Lucas and a Mewtwo player, and then when Min Min released, Corrin also got some buffs, and I was like, Corrin's from like the first Fire Emblem game I played, and I really like Fire Emblem, so I think I'm gonna like play Corrin, and that's how that came to be. And then in 2021, I started at Bendigo tournaments before I went to Melbourne, and they were every month. And one of the first ones we had, Unreal Sora, who's in and out of our scene kind of regularly, he says to me, he's like, hey, Melbourne's got some tournaments. You should, like, come. And I'm like, oh, it's only an hour on the train. That's not too bad. So my first tournament was a Sunshine Smash in the middle of 2021. And I remember losing to Neoblade and L, and I got a game off L in Lucina Corrin. I was like, I can do it. This is like really cool. And yeah, I've definitely like 2021 all the way through to like 2024. I was I was going sporadically because I wasn't super good. And then like last year, when I had Flo reach out to be like, hey, I want to coach you. I've started picking up attendance more and more. We've been getting better, and it's good fun to just keep improving with Corrin. It's been really funny to go through the phases where, like, when Corrin got really big in the meta, and people were like, "She's so broken. Can't believe you play this character. She's so boring." But no, she's really fun. But I suppose that's only one half of my story. In terms of, yeah, the Ravstats, that's also got a pretty interesting origin because I remember when all the majors came back internationally and I saw all the stats that were getting done, like everything in and around like upset factor and SPR and how that was being used. And I got to, I think it was Pissmas 3 at the end of 2022. And this was a major not a lot of Victorians were at. So I was like, man, after I got out, I was like, man, I don't have anything to do at this major. This kind of sucks. And I sat in my hotel room on Saturday night and I'm like, why is there no one in Oz doing this? I could do this. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm going to go like O2 in Redemption and then I'm going to have nothing to do for 6 hours. So I did like an upset thread and people like really liked it. I was like, oh, we could do this like semi-regularly for the majors. And it started with just the majors. So I did it for Pissmas. I did it for the first action. And then around March, I started to see some of the other scenes were like copying the model I was doing. And I didn't really like that. I didn't like that someone was trying to like steal my thunder, even though I like what I'm doing isn't particularly original. But so I was like, oh, I could write it as like a news report. I feel like people would like vibe with that. And since March of 2023, so now over 3 years, I haven't missed a week for Victoria, and still cover the majors, still cover Victoria, and people really like it. It's always shocking when I go interstate and people say stuff like, "Oh, dude, my one goal at this tournament is to get a mention. Like, if I make one upset, I'm gonna get a mention in the article." So that's always like really cool, and it's cool how it's evolved from just like me wanting to like show off Australia to now like people see it as like a goal at tournaments to be like, oh, I need my mention. If I get mentioned by Ravsav, that'll give me the serotonin to get through this week.
That's actually very interesting because I fully agree with that. Because like you mentioned, it's like actually insane that it's been going on weekly for Victoria since March 2023 because I remember being one of those people. I didn't like say it outright, but in my head I was like, I need to be on the Ravstats because that was around the time where I was like, all right, I want to actually like really really improve. So bam, 13, I upset Fiker and I got super excited. I was like, I'm gonna be on the Ravstats. I'm gonna be on the Ravstats, and I saw it. I was like, oh, there I am, there I am. Oh, it was such a nice feeling. So I can definitely see how whenever someone makes an upset at a major, especially coming from an outsider perspective who doesn't get weekly coverages of their tournaments, to be mentioned in the article is very nice. So it's good. How much work is that like a week, do you reckon? Because keeping that up to, as someone who journals every month since 2019, it's because life doesn't stop. It's just something you just have to keep on doing. How much time do you invest in that constantly, and have you ever felt like burnt out by it?
So the average article roughly takes, I'd say like 5 hours altogether to put together. Because like when a tournament is running, because I obviously, aside from the weekend and the Friday ones, I'm not at the tournament. So while the tournament is going on, I have a notes page which I keep each week, and I'll record all the upsets, all the SPR, the longest runs, and all of that. And that usually takes about 2 hours. Then the whole write-up takes about 3 hours before I publish it on usually the Monday. In terms of the burnout, it really depends with my life, but also like what I'm publishing. Like on a major week, I think I put out 4 articles
Wow.
because because you've got the preview, which is normally the Wednesday or the Thursday when the seeding comes out. There are the articles for the 2 days of of the events as well. Um, and also I'm doing like character data for whatever the top cut is, whether it's top 64 or whatever. And previewing sets the day after. I've got a little bit of a curse when it comes to previewing the sets. Typically, one of the sets I preview will result in one of the players DQing for whatever reason on the second day. I can remember like the first time I started previewing sets was for Big Cheese 4, and I previewed. I don't know who Violet had to play, but anyway, Violet got like extremely intoxicated the night before, so he DQ'd, and it was just like, I'm like, man, and it kept happening. It was like 3 or 4 majors in a row where like I'd preview a set, and for whatever reason, one of the players in that set would DQ the day after. I was like, why did I do all this work? But yeah, the burnout, I guess the burnout like goes up and down depending like what am I doing throughout the week, but also like how many articles am I putting out? Because the articles aren't always. It's not always just about like the stats. Sometimes I talk about like a concept I find interesting, or I'm talking about like my journey. So like sometimes when I put multiple out in a week, I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I can't do this.
Yeah, it's quite like commendable, I have to say. And
Yeah.
if there's someone like listening who doesn't know where to find these incredible articles, where can they find them, Ravsav?
So there are 2 ways you can always find my articles. You can go straight to my page on Medium, but also in the VicSmash Discord every week, you will find them in the announcements, usually on Monday, but sometimes it changes depending on how many events are in a week, but normally it comes out Monday afternoons and evenings.
Well, there you go. So, um, that's a that's quite the fascinating story, and I'm glad that we've mentioned majors a lot because that segues very nicely into our first section, which is introduction to Victorian majors and subsequently the rest of majors in Australia. The usual ones that we have every year, I think it's only 3 of them, which include Game Expo around March, BAM around June, Phantom pretty much like straight afterwards in July, and then that's about it for Vic. And then other interstate majors, and this is where you can help me out here because I only know like
Yeah.
of 2 of 3, which is Floating Point, which is the bigger one, Pissmas, which is like the Christmas one, hence the name. And I know that other people from around the world, like I think that I've seen this clip of like the Buzz being asked to attend Pissmas, and he was like, "What the hell is Pissmas?" The name can be a little bit of a
Yeah.
what's it called, a turn off for people, but it's
Yeah,
funny.
for sure. It, it always brings me great joy, like every year when the Lumi rank uh,
Yeah.
does their like events for the week, and there's always Americans that week of December where they're like, "What is Christmas?"
Oh, that's funny. Especially, can you imagine like the Pissmas that like Honk decides to win when he changes his tag to something insane? Like I was preparing for this episode, I pulled up the Floating Point 2025 bracket link and I saw Tung 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 Sahur and I'm like, who the hell is that? And I had to open it and it's Tung Sahur with like Kazuya hair, Kazuya eye. I'm like, oh, this is just Honk. Okay. Imagine seeing that. You're an American, you're seeing the Lumi rank, and then Australia Major Pissmas 7 was won by Tung 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 Sahur. It's the most Australian thing you could think
Oh,
of.
it's ridiculous.
But there's other majors too. Like I have heard of, I don't think they happen anymore, and this is where you could correct me if I'm wrong. But Big
Yeah.
Cheese and the Action, I've heard of them, and I think there was like one more that I'm missing that was like a once off other than Journey to the West, which was last year in WA.
Yeah. So Big Cheese, it hasn't been officially confirmed, but I believe it is coming back this year, and that normally falls around September, October. That's always that's always a good one because South Australia really show out for that one, and particularly when SA haven't competed a
Hmm.
lot in the other majors recently. It'll be interesting to see if we do get our next edition of Big Cheese this year, to see how those players do. That the action has run twice. It hasn't run since 2024, which is our major in Canberra, ACT.
Mm.
One of them ran in January, and the second one ran in April. It'll be good to have it back because that's another scene that doesn't travel too much. But in terms of the once-off, so Journey to the West was Western Australia's big chance to finally have a major because they feel so isolated from everyone else. And we had that February last year. And then the other one-off I can think of was 2024 in February, if I remember, was when Mod ran Super Duper
Oh,
Sunshine.
Super Duper Sunshine! That was such a good major.
It was such a fun major. I have such a vivid memory of the first set on stream was like Dan IRL versus Luma.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as that set ends, because Dan made the upset,
Yeah.
Beat reads the chat, and I'm in there because I couldn't go day one. And I've just written, I have a tweet to make, and everyone's like, "Oh, here we go." It's all part of it.
Yeah, I'm upon like unlocking the memory that I forgot I had of Super Duper Sunshine. Like I think that was, and I could be super wrong about this, but it's the first time I saw it. Top 8 entrances. I remember Baked Goods made top 8 that tournament, and his entrance was like the World Bowser theme, but like some remix, and he had like bodyguards behind him. We can talk about that as well when we get to, like, I guess talk about TGX, even though we did not do top 8 entrances at TGX, or maybe
Yes.
later on, but. And that was, I think, the Zach's breakout major, because that was when he was actually starting to get like top level Vic, because he got like second or third place at that tournament, and that was like the first time people were like, "Whoa!"
Pretty sure that was Zach's first top 8, which was really crazy because he kept knocking on the door of top 8s, or he'd be stopped by a few characters. Like I know he had a massive Samus problem for a while, which is funny because at this tournament he beat Kai Chimera. And yeah, you had a bunch of people like have a real big breakout tournament there. Like you had Kai Chimera went crazy there. Baked Goods obviously went crazy as well. And yeah, I feel like that's where you really started to see the Kanaji J Dizzle rivalry like take shape.
Yeah, it was a very good rivalry. We don't see too much of it anymore. Now we've got Zach Scobo, and Beefy is somewhere in there in the mix as well.
Yes.
So now one of the talking points that I think you'd put down was like what makes TGX different as a major to other majors in Oz. Do you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah. So if you think about like most of the majors in Oz, regardless of their size or whatnot, it is primarily a Smash event. We are there for Smash, or in the case of some of the majors, it's an FGC event, which Smash is included in the umbrella term of. Whereas, yeah, this one is like it's about it's primarily a convention first. We're at the Melbourne Convention Centre. There's a lot of cosplay, a lot of art stalls, and it's the time where it's a rare time where you see Smashers kind of move away from Smash for most of the event. Like we're in a big space. There's stalls everywhere. There's lots of events going on. So yeah, it's just very different, and I feel like a lot of players prepare differently because it doesn't feel like the primary focus is Smash.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also, I think it's probably the only one, other than like, unless there was a Phantom Major ages ago, but it's the only one that I'm aware of where like players from other countries really like attend Australia to like show off the skills. Famously, this was his second TGX. First one being like 2024, and 2025 was Mia, and that was very exciting as well. I couldn't make that one, but it was fun watching stream.
Yeah.
And yeah, now in 2026, Victoria majors are a little how do I say it? Like it's foggy, the future of this year
Yeah,
specifically,
that's a good way to
because
put it.
there's no Phantom today for whatever reason, and also who knows who's gonna attend BAM this year? Because last year, like I think it was like less than 25 people I think that signed up for Ultimate at BAM or something like that.
Yeah, it was quite low. And I think you will see Victoria get around BAM a lot more this year. Now, we can't know at the moment because um, if you go to the BAM page at the moment, for some reason attendees are hidden, so it's like hard to gauge. Like, oh, who's going? Like, you can't see even if you do sign up, you don't know who else has signed up. But I think when we only have the two major experiences this year with TGX, which is a very different feeling major, and BAM, which we're probably going to push to try and get more people in and around it this year. Yeah, you're going to see more people get around it because there are going to be those Victorians which won't get the chance to travel interstate this year. So to taste that major experience, BAM will be the go-to now with Phantom not here in July.
Yeah. So with that, I think we can move into section two, which and I think this probably will be the longest one. We can like go off the rails as many times as we wish, which is
Yep.
actual let's talk about the Game Expo 2026, the stories and everything. Do you reckon it'd be good to start from the top and go to the bottom or something else entirely?
Yeah, I think we could start at the top. I think that's a logical place to start.
Yeah, all right. Well, your top eight for TGX 2023, we had Neo in first place, Zach in second, Beefy third, Kanaji fourth. In fifth, we had both of the Robs, that's funny, Scobo and Sepro. And then in seventh, we had Rebs and Honk. So that was actually pretty good. I think in terms of seating, there's a few people who like surpassed the seating. Beefy made an upset on Kanaji, which was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
but everything else kind of went to projection. It was the grand final. That was probably the highlight of the top eight for me because I wanted Zach so badly to get the reset. It was for those who don't know and haven't seen like the super major GG page or the start GG page. It went game five last stock. But I think Nero just found a couple of good roll at the ledge and covering high recoveries with back air, which is broken, but we'll get to that in Corin episode. And what else do you reckon about this top eight here?
So the interesting part about this top eight, I guess it's one of the recent majors where we haven't seen anyone new in the top eight. Like all of these guys have been to a top eight before. I think aside from Honk.
Yeah.
But I think Rebs was the only one not seeded to get to top eight, and had a pretty impressive run. Obviously, one of the interesting things is Zach is continuing to go really close with like top end talent, because there's always been this whole sentiment around, oh, Australia is so far off it. But sometimes you watch our top end talent either when they're traveling to other regions or on those rare instances where the international talent comes out here. You see someone like Zach. Like Zach went game five with Mia twice last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's gone game five with Nao this year. So Zach continues to show why he is really the cream of the crop when it comes to Oz talent, and he's really in the right like age bracket to kind of push forward. And if he does choose to go overseas, we have this evidence that when he's at home, he can really show his stuff with both of his characters. Both Pac-Man and Kazuya get equal use to really show what Zach can do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Um, he went to like Europe recently, I think, and I didn't see
Yeah.
like too much of who he played, but I think he did pretty well. And in Japan, because I also think he went to Japan, I like watched a couple sets like him versus Ashimo, and even though it was 2-0 to Ashimo's way. Like he did pretty well, both with he got a game off of the with the Pac-Man and a game with the Kazuya, and like seeing what he can do is very exciting. And also, it's not like just Zach. I know we're talking about this year's TGX, but when Neo came the previous time, which was 2024, Kanaji actually took a set, and then
Yes.
I think went game four in Grands, something like that, and like Didi took a game off with the Kazuya and that sort of thing. And when Mia came along, he, like you said, went game five with Zach, and also the pre-local, he like Iceman took a game off of Mia.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. So yeah, it's definitely good to see. Now Honk, because I think you're right. I'm pretty sure this was Honk's first top eight. We can take a look at his run. So this is tripping me up because on the start GG it says Tung 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 Sahur, but Honk started the run by beating, well, not Zach, but someone named Zach, and then he
Yes.
actually bit of a scary encounter with Dragonite. It seems 2-1. So well done to Dragonite there. And same with Harry. I was watching his set versus Harry. They
That was a
all three of the
crazy.
games are like last hit. They were both kind of tilted and they were both like on edge. I was like, and whoever won would verse Neo. So it was like, because Harry won it too. I'm pretty sure. Like he mentioned that it was like his second time being like reverse three stocked or reverse 2-0'd or something like that before he could
Wow.
verse an international. So that was unfortunate, but it was fortunate if your name's Honk, but because he did get his chance to verse Neo, and it wasn't particularly close. I don't think it was 2-0. And then Rebs, he also had, like you mentioned, a pretty good run. So he started off win on Raro fan, what a goat. But then his most impressive win was probably against this guy named Mexi. That unfortunately it was a bit of a
Oh
2-0,
yeah.
but yeah, nice, good on him. Then he upset Seb Pro. I actually did not know this was an upset, but 2-1 over Seb.
Yeah.
Oh wait, so that leads into what I wanted to talk about. Yeah. So I think this was I believe, not think, this was the very first Ultimate Major where J Dizzle missed top eight entirely. Cause
I think it's I
hmm?
believe it's the first post-COVID one because I think Big Cheese 2, which is so long ago. Yeah, he did in fact. Yeah, he. I don't know if it was ninth or it was way lower, but he had a super underperformance. But definitely the first post-COVID one, which is really impressive because everyone forever has been like, Jay Dizzle, he is the height of excellence in Australia. Like, if you beat him, like you're a god.
Yeah, he was. I know at the very beginning, very beginning of Ultimate, I'm pretty sure it was Extra who was number one, and at some point Strix was. But J Dizzle, it's been kind of like his show for almost the entirety of the lifespan of Ultimate, which is very impressive. Like, and only when he completely stopped practicing and kind of dropped the game did his performance kind of start to go down. But even then, like for someone
Yeah,
who I don't, oh no, he does play the game. Sometimes I run into him in Elite Smash or something, or with like Mario or whatever. But for someone who doesn't
yeah,
like grind the game actively, he's still like just impenetrable wall that only like 5 players can get past, and that's it's very impressive. But on this tournament, that upset on Rebs above Sepro is probably what uh caused him to miss out on top eight, because he was seeded to verse Rebs there, and he probably would have won.
yes, he would have.
So yeah, there was Rebs. Ryan kind of caused some chaos just by that upset, which really goes to show, and I love this about majors and just brackets in general. Sometimes something small just causes this huge like domino effect. Because J Dizzle missed out on top eight, let's see what were the effects of that. Because then Sepro, once he made top eight, beat Honk, and Honk had previously beaten Jono at the Super Sunshine. It was a 3-0 as well. I was commentating.
Yeah, that set was brutal.
It was insane. So if Honk managed to get another one, Honk might have gotten a chance to verse Beefy and then maybe Kanaji for fourth. So that huge domino effect, that's very cool to see.
Yeah,
Um
it's
oh yeah, no, so you go.
yeah, it's always a common thing at majors. You don't know the impact of one upset, and that's normally how the ball gets rolling at majors. You see one set that you're like, oh, I don't know how significant this will be. And then you look at what it does to losers. And it's just and yeah, so yeah, we have that roll on effect of okay, all right, Jono barely loses to Naji in their winners set. And then you see like outside of that, like, oh, Seb's lost to Rebs. So like Seb and Jono play for ninth when these guys have fought for their life in top eights of majors.
Mhm.
And yeah, it just rolls on. So yeah, you never know the impact of one upset.
And another one that just popped into my mind, also involving Jono. This was Phantom 2024, I believe, where he lost to Flo Game 5 in like winners round 1 of top 64, and he
Yeah.
still made like second place. That was an insane run, actually. Because how many
Yeah.
sets did he win? I'm gonna look this up right now, but he
It
like
was
ended so many players' runs that they could have had like a chance to like really make a name for themselves at that tournament, but just because Jono lost to Flo, then they just like instant wall. That maybe they might have had a chance against Flo, but yeah.
it was that set was so ridiculous because I got in late on the second day and I just had people running up to me and they're like, dude, that is the most insane upset of all time. Where were you? And I remember I had Mamp come up to me. He's like, that might be like the most ridiculous set record that finally got broken. Because I think at the time Flo had something disgusting. Like I think it was 35-0 in Jono's favor. Like
Yeah.
Flo he'd never gotten a set. And it was I think by AuSmash it's one of the most one-sided head-to-heads where finally the other person gets on the board.
Yeah, and like he also hasn't gotten a set since as well. He's had like
Yeah.
multiple attempts, but now I've got this up on my computer. It was an upset factor 6, and then
Yes.
Jono proceeded to win 6 sets in a row, eliminating Chumba, Rebs, Sebpro, Scobo, Beat, and DD before losing to Zach at Game 5 in losers final.
Oh, that set was crazy because I think that was the first time Zach beat
Yeah,
Jono
it was.
as well. So it was a crazy big deal.
So like, and obviously it was like impressive performance by Zach at the time, but you also have to factor in like Jono had just played 6 sets in a row, one of them going game 5, multiple going game 4, and still taking Zach to game 5 last stock, I think it was. And that
Yeah.
like insane. Like the storylines of majors. This has got to be like one of the best parts of like not just AuSmash but just Smash in general is all the storylines that come from majors and players because we all just push buttons, but we want to push buttons better than the next person, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. And another dot point that we had is Beefy's first exposure to international talent. We were talking about Zach having traveled and versing internationals, but this was oh my god, my light just fell. That's fine. That was the first time Beefy ever got to play an international, I'm pretty sure. And he took a game with me, brother. But
You got a game, and I remember because I was sitting there and watching it with Iceman, and I'm like, and we're like, oh, Beefy has played this matchup a lot, like a lot, because he's got his background in Wi-Fi, and for 10,000 years, Grand Finals was always him against Smay. He's played that matchup a billion times, and I was pondering. I was like, oh, is he gonna go Sora? Because like when I'd played him, up until recently, he would always prefer to play Sora in that matchup. But it was very impressive to watch him get a game because early on it looked like yeah, Nao knows what to do against this character. But Beefy got one on the board, which is always going to feel good. And I know with a lot of the top players, they're craving that new experience. They want to play someone new when they go to a major. And that's what the international player offers, because not only is it a new experience with like a new player, but it's also someone that is actively going to challenge them, which is always good for them to continue to be pushed.
yeah, and it doesn't even have to be like a world top player. Like I remember, and I'm trying to find him because I'm pretty sure this was the tournament he came to. When it was at a BAM and Pickpocket showed up from the USA.
Yeah.
And I remember that even though like he didn't like perform like super well. I think he got like 33rd or something, but I can't seem to find him. I know that anytime he was playing a set, there was at least 5 people watching, just because it's interesting to watch. Oh, the interstater coming in, and let's see how our fellow Australians do, our true blues, and we're just being
Yes.
like, "Yo," cheering on, even if it's like, I don't know, players you wouldn't usually cheer for whatever reason. I can't find him. I don't think he was band 13 then. But unless he
Yeah,
did
we
play
saw
12.
it. I think it was 14, I want to say. Because I remember it like kicked off like Corvid's run and Corvid ended up getting ninth.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, in general, it's really interesting. And we've seen it in patches with Vic. So like when Vec was here for a season,
Oh, I
we
love
got to be
Beck.
like, I miss Vec so much. Where it's like, oh, this guy's like top 100 in the UK. Let's see like how we do against this guy. Or when Apple Reviewer was here a few years ago, or that like really
Apple
small
reviewer.
patch where like Yeast was just kept being American me brawlers. Um, but they just kept showing up, and it was very interesting to see how they were doing. And it was always funny when all of these guys would leave, and they're like, man, to be selfish for a moment, where they were like, man, I wish I had Ravstats back home. Like, Vec to this day is still retweeting every article I put out, which is very cool.
Oh, that's nice.
And like Yeast, I remember Yeast leaving and was like, it was like, oh, why don't I have this? Or like when I think I took a look at like 40 players who I think could do well, and Yeast was like, why am I not on your 40? I'm like, hey, don't ask me. I don't run the ranking panel.
hmm And before we continue, I want to talk about like Vec and Apple Review, because before Vec came, I think Apple Review was the first international that like actually got like involved with the scene and like, get to know
Yeah.
people. Like when he was here, I would have actually considered him like a friend, because he would show
Yeah,
off
same.
like his American humor, like his whole thing, and that he it's apparently like his thing in the US as well. The joke like, why is it just like rude of Santa to deliver presents on Christmas Eve? And I'll be like, because it's eavesdropping. And he'd be like, yes, it is. And he would be so funny. There was a tournament in January 2023 at Landu, all the way in like Raven somewhere. I want to say
What?
in like Raven. I almost said Ravenclaw, but I know that's not a suburb. There's a suburb that's Raven Hall. Um, and it was like inside of a warehouse. It was hot as hell in there. Like physically, it was one of the worst ways I've felt at a major. But he was there.
Wow.
Saxa Slayer was there. Shout outs to him as well. And Apple Review and I were watching Nop versus Skinny Pat, and I would play the loser, he would play the winner, and we were both like, I was saying that I want Nop to lose, and he was saying he wanted Nop to win, and we both said at the same time, because I don't want to verse Violet. It was so good. And what else? What else? Oh, his me. So he made a reference. I think I was one of the first people to play Apple Review when he got here, because it was his first tournament was a Super Sunshine,
Oh,
and
wow.
him and Saxa Slayer were Aiden and I's first round one in doubles. So they were saying like, "Oh yeah, we're from the US," and I was like, "Whoa, that's really cool." And then he made his me brawler, and he had the amiibo version where you could copy a me from your Switch,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was the Dennis me, and I was like, "Who is that?" And it was like, "Oh, Dennis, he's our TO in the US." And I was like, "Dennis, okay, cool." And that Dennis me is still in like half the Switches in Oz. Sometimes
Yeah,
Beefy uses it as his me brawler.
I was gonna say, I swear I see Biff use it sometimes. So that's really cool that like a little bit of Apple Reviewer's legacy still exists in Big Smash,
Yeah,
and
like
that's
3 years after he was here or something. It's been a long time.
yeah,
So yeah, shout outs to them. And then Vec as well. Vec was incredible. Like Vec came out to like every event that we had, like actively like, talking to people. Like it was great. It was so good. And he's still active
yeah,
in the Discord as well. Like
yeah.
it's like a,
It was
sorry, just before. It's like
yeah,
when you have a friend that you don't see for a while, but every time you talk to them, it's like nothing's ever changed. That's how I feel with
yeah.
Vec.
I swear, like every time he talks, I'm like, I still this guy's an idiot, but he's our idiot. Um, I have a vivid memory of like the first Friday tournament he went to, and like the tournament finished like really early at like 9:30. He's like, now what do we do? And I'm thinking, because like I didn't stay up late at the time. I'm like, I don't know. And we ended up going out for dinner. I remember talking to Vec for like an hour and a half, and that was how we convinced him to go to Floating Point.
Oh yeah,
We were like,
you guys paid for him to go, didn't you?
yeah. So we're like sitting there. I'm like, oh, we've got this major coming up in like 3 weeks. He's like, oh, I don't know if I could afford that. And we're like sitting around the table, like, I'm sure we can work it out. And it was really cool to sit there and talk, because like too often, like with the good players, I have to worry about like, man, I'm like, man, do these guys do these guys hate me because like I'm like, oh, this person got upset by blah blah blah. But he was so chill. I remember even during that tournament, I'm like standing near where Vec's playing a set, and Honk and I are like, man, Incineroar is so broken. He turns around and just like turns around, biggest like grin I've ever seen on his face. And I'm just like, oh, this guy's a clown.
Yeah, definitely very funny, and he actually did pretty well at Floating Point. We'll talk about that like later, but he
Yeah.
placed 17th, which was pretty nice. So he got his money's worth for sure.
Yes.
So now going back to TGX, we can continue with like other standout runs that we had, and we'll talk about them in the order that we have them listed here. First of all, Lolly, he placed 9th, which was very
He did
good.
really well.
Like I was looking, let's look at his run from the start. He started off beating Kevlar 2-0, then dropping to Wi-Fi 2-0 as well. So he was in losers since losers round 4. Beat Zavi, beat Zach, not that Zach, other Zach. That Zach actually did decently. Beat Fico and Rick. That's pretty cool. I don't
Yeah,
actually know who that person was.
They're from New Zealand. They've been here for a little bit. They play Peach, and yeah, they're pretty solid.
That's pretty good. And then his two big wins were 2-1 over Piggins and 2-0 over Harry. That was insane. And then dropping to
Yeah.
Scobo before top 8. Which,
Yeah,
what do you do?
There's like even surprises around that run. Like if you think about the fact he lost to a Wi-Fi, like if you look at their history, a lolly will use Roy and will more often than not beat Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi was ready for it. So that was really surprising. And then this is really the start of where a lolly's form has picked up in general.
Yeah.
Like he started to become like quite a demon for Harry, and he's finally like started to work out Piggins too. So this was where we really started to see a lolly become a much stronger player, which is like really impressive.
Yeah, like on a lolly, like in previous seasons, he's had I remember in the panelists like record discussion videos released by the panel here at the who do the Vic Top 40 rankings, which are Rambo, Nop, P9, and the most recent one they was joined by Newt as well. They refer to a lot because they use like a spreadsheet of color coded for like win rates. If you have a positive win rate on someone, like if you've never lost, you're like fully green. If you've dropped a set but you're still favorable, you are like slightly lighter green. Even is yellow, and then different shades of red. They would refer to Lolly as like the stoplight of players because he just had like all over the place. The traffic light, yeah.
Yeah, the traffic light. Yeah, it was all over the shop.
Which is true. Like in previous seasons, he would beat like PR players and then drop to like 1-2ers as well. It was kind of crazy. But recently, he's like you said, become stronger. Like solidified his ability to stop himself from like losing to players that he normally wouldn't lose to, and increased his ability to beat players above him as well. So very good. Like on my win rate versus Lolly, it's like it's insane. I don't even want to say it. I don't want to embarrass myself like that. It's like
fair enough.
16-6 or something like that to his favor. And when I would consistently take sets of him, like, oh, this is easy, and then all of a sudden, I just went on a losing streak and I still haven't been able to beat him. I'm like, well, this guy's unbeatable. So good on him.
Yeah, wow.
And then who else? Oh, and now this is another standout run was by this very very cool guy called Mexi. Let me take a look at this one. And the low-key static not showing up saved the run because, and this is another domino effect. My first set was like against this new player who played Sonic. I beat them, and then static DQ'd, so I got the free pass into Rebs in winners round 3. I lost to Rebs 2-0. I'm not gonna pretend like it was close, but I wanted to do well into Rebs because I struggle with Greninja, and I was trying to practice Greninja, and I think I did okay. Could have done better, but that's okay. And then in losers, we had, where did I go? Oh, this side of bracket was taking so long, and I don't know why. When I dropped, I was like, why is there 3 sets before I'm playing when there's other losers round 4 that are currently playing? Like, the TO for this tournament was Slimboy, Jamie. Love that guy, and he'll be in the Yoshi episode when that gets released. He was kind of crashing out because that one side of bracket was so slow, and we were watching Sora versus Falco playing, and then Jamie was like, "Oh, and we're watching Sora and Falco. Like, this is gonna take so long." Then he goes like, "Who's playing the winner of this?" And I raise my hand. He looks at me and goes, "Oh, and then there's a Pac-Man player," and he just crashed out even harder.
Don't talk to Jamie about Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, no, we will. And then, so I beat Jamensha, who ended up beating Crozzy, which surprised me kind of, but I guess Crozzy hasn't played in a long time. And then I had Kid Collie, who was waiting for me for a long time. And then when our set started, Jamie was like, "You." He pointed at me and goes, "You run at him," and then points to Kid Collie, "You run at him." We didn't. Like, both of the games nearly went to time, which made him crash out even more.
Wow.
But Kid Collie's actually had a pretty decent record against me in the past, like, because of my struggle with Greninja. He will beat me like once every 2 sets that we play, so I was very scared, but I managed to. I kept my cool, and then I had Necro, who I've never beaten in bracket ever, even online. So I was like, "Oh, wow. Game & Watch Pac-Man, this is gonna be so awful." And then game 1 started semi-solidly, and I was like, "Wait, I could do this." So I won game 1. I was like, "Wait, like, I'm doing it. I've never taken a game off of this guy ever in my life." So, like, excluding like Wi-Fi grinding sessions, which go for like 2 hours. That's the different thing.
Yeah.
But, so it starts off, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to give him a chance to adapt. I got to win now. So I play a little more like aggressive, which was a change to how I was playing game 1. And then I took a stock with an F smash at like 70 that he wasn't expecting. And I'm at like a 20. I'm like, wait, now I just camp. And then slowly he like makes it back because it was last hit. I was terrified. I got him to his last stock. He was like 180 or something, and I was like 80 on my last one by the end. And my thought process, because I remember so vividly what I was thinking, is okay, he's gonna want to do everything he can to try and kill me right now, and he's expecting me to like run in or do something impatient, which is what I usually do. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna commit. I was repeating in my head over and over, don't do anything stupid, don't do anything stupid, just don't get hit. He was dropping forward as, he was back airing, and I was just not getting hit, because I noticed the dash attack that he did in the corner in game 1. I was like, he's gonna do that, because I've been like kind of like running up and shielding. So I was like, I ran in and then dashed back, caught his dash attack with a pivot grab, back throw, and I popped off. I was so happy because Game & Watch makes me so mad. But yeah, it was like my big win of like in so long, because like after the autumn season of 2025, which was the Floating Point 2025 season, I just kept on a steady decline, because at the time I was focusing on like uni, so I went from 29th to 32nd to not being on the ranking. So I was I've wanted to go back into it because Floating Point like excites me because of how fun it was last year and how well I did last year. So I'm hoping we'll talk about that later, but yeah, I'm hoping to get back to that. And then I lost to P9, and I was like, he was playing super well that tournament. It was because at the time I'd played him like very recently a couple times. I was like, oh, okay, like I just remember what he did, and then I'll just try to win, I guess. But at majors, I think something like Prime 9 activates, and I just had no chance. So I got destroyed in like 10 minutes. Then I see that he played Rebs. I was like, wait, I would have played Rebs again if I had done that. But the reason why I want to give credit to Static DQing, shoutouts to Static, is because of what my run would have been if I had played Static and lost. If I had done that, I would have had Jezza, which is fine, Rarufan, which is probably fine, and then Phosphor 1111. Let me talk about Phosphor 1111. When he first started, I had a 10-0 record on him. Like, he could not beat me. I was his demon until he beat me the first time. I was like, yep, it was going to happen eventually because he was getting better. And since then, I have not been able to beat him. I've gone game 5 with him once, the most recent time we played. And I was like, damn it, every time I crash out, like, your character's so broken, dude. And he goes like, and he's this guy. And I see a lot of myself in him because I think I'm a joker. I'm sometimes a bit of a jerk to people, like, as in a loving way. And and Phosphor is the exact same way. He'll be like, hey man, at least you got 10 while you could. And I'm like, I crashed out because he said that right after I lost. God, this guy, bro.
He's such a troll.
He's so funny. I have to give credit where credit's due. He's hilarious. So, and if I beat Phosphor, I would have had Naru, who also plays Min Min. And if I beat Naru, I would have had Finn, who plays Snake, who's the character I hate the most. So, like, Min, Snake, and if I beat Snake, Sepro, which is, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, Thank you, Static, and I got to talk to him because he showed up eventually, and I was like, hey, Static, go guys, like, where were you, man? And he was like, I was dodging you, bro. Because you know how he talks. It's like, I was dodging you, man.
He would say that.
I was like, shut up, bro. No, you weren't dodging. You just got out of bed like late and forgot. Because he was wearing skates like he always is. Like, Static is a real character. I can't wait for the King DDD episode where he gets to yap about DDD. But
oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so it's all because of that I managed to place 13th at a major for the first time. Like, do you weigh more like placing 33rd at a stacked major or 13th at a not so stacked major? Like, I don't know which one's better, but yeah.
I'm always gonna pay the more stacked major. Like, I'm far more impressed by that your ability to even crack top 64 at like crazy majors. So like, we'll talk about it in a bit, but like, Floating Point 2025 might have been our most stacked major since our first major back from COVID, BAM 12. And I'm always gonna weigh that over like, oh, I got to 9th at like a smaller major. Like, I'm never gonna discredit anyone's run. Like, my bit has always been gas up the players who do well, not punch down on those who do bad, or if I don't think the event is overly serious. But if I take the content mask off, I'm like, I might be like, hey man, this event wasn't that serious. Can you relax?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was my TGX run, and the other one is Mast, because he is kind of like despawned from the scene since like 2024, and he just came back. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. Actually, no, he didn't say that. He was playing Wolf. Never mind. But the funny thing is, so if you look at in Start GG, you can either not report like character data, which would show everyone like who played who. You can leave it blank, or you can report character data. And there is not a single set in all this bracket that has character data except for Mast versus Jono Gravity, because let me talk about that one. So Mast was playing Wolf. Let me find his run. I think he was B. Yeah, I think he was B1, Pool B. Yeah, there he is. So his run was beating B2, 2-0, losing to Piggins 2-0, and then in losers, where is he? Beating Wopovoho 2-0, and then there's the set of his Jono Gravity, where he started off as Wolf, took a game from the Inkling with Wolf, then lost a game with Wolf, and it might have been a bad loss because it caused him to switch to Roy, and then he beat Jono with it, and Jono he wanted the world to know that Connor played Roy, so he reported character data because he had like admin privileges in Start GG for that bracket. So it's the only set that has character data. But you know what? Go tell him, Jono. Go tell him.
Let him know, Jono.
I seek justice from Tin Man misreporting our set at TGX 2023. It was him and I played to make top 64. And this was back when I was on the Steve. And it was game 3 last hit. And he reported it as 2-0. And I was so mad.
Nothing
But
makes me more mad. Or
yeah.
like I had the opposite recently where someone reported a set I won. It was 2-0, and they reported it as 2-1. I'm like, you don't. You didn't get anything. Like, and yeah, Jono is always one of the ones I like look through a bracket. I'm like, oh, look at that. Jono's reported character data. He's always there. He's got to let people know. He's like, this is exactly what went down. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, definitely. Then Connor proceeds to beat Wi-Fi. I'm assuming he was playing Roy for this. I definitely don't
Yeah,
think
that
he
one
would have
was Roy.
beaten, yeah, Wi-Fi with the Wolf. But that was 2-1. And then game 3 with Easy Call as well. So he plays, what is that, 13th. That was
Yeah,
pretty bloody good as someone who was
pretty.
seeded, like, not that high.
Yeah, I thought it was a super impressive run, given he hasn't consistently attended tournaments in a long time, and yet he was set up forever as like this was the guy who wanted it all. He was the content man. He was the I want to get on PR.
He
I
was,
want to
yeah, he
like.
was the Easy Call before Easy Call.
It's true.
Easy Call in shambles that we're not talking about Pixel 300.
Oh
Hey man,
god.
as Easy Call, if you're watching this, just win another tournament, man. Like, come on,
Hey, come on, man.
Hero's broken. Just kaboom a couple more times, you'll get it. So yeah, I think that pretty well covers most of TGX. I'm still looking at the bracket, seeing if there's anything else that's like worth pointing out. Um, anything else, but I'm not seeing too much.
No,
So
like
yeah. Hmm?
I think really your only like major things is like some people got a very different experience of like what their major experience is like normally. So your players you would normally see go like say 0-2 or 1-2, these players are winning 2-3 sets because thanks to it being a convention tournament, you have a lot of people who come and join the tournament just for fun, and then you got to go up against this sweaty Victorian who it's like I'm fighting for my life in every bracket. I need this. I need to go 2-2 or 3-2. So that's really your different. It's a very yeah, it's a very different environment, and you see people do like a lot better than they normally would, which was like cool to see.
Hmm.
But aside from that, yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much covering the bases on TGX.
Yeah, and before we move on to the section 3, I want to quickly give a shout out to doubles of TGX because this was kind of fun. Like we had some like how do I explain it? Like in unorthodox teams, we had like
Yeah,
Gravity B2, we had oh, you teamed up with Wi-Fi. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that was something different.
Yeah, Static Rivet Man, Phosphor Rambo. That was funny. Oh no, Naru. Oh no, who is this? No, this is Duralipa. This is Rambo.
Yeah,
Both of the Greninjas teaming up, and because this is my podcast, I'm gonna give a shout out to my own run because I teamed up with Neek for the first time. I usually do like Gravity or Skinny Pat, but my best doubles performance before this was getting ninth in doubles at Phantom 2025 with Skinny Power. We had a crazy run. Like we beat Honk and Wi-Fi, we beat Sepro and Heaven, and we went game 3 with Billy and Teehee. That was and we got to play like Unpheasant Shmoo on stream. It was very fun. But this one, um so for our first opponents were Phaler and Jezza. That was 2-0. But then this was the interesting one. We had Neo and Lemonace. So we
yeah,
Nick and I were like, okay, is this gonna be extremely rough, or is it gonna be like maybe balanced? Do we maybe balance each other out? But the my highlight of this set was me beating Neo on the 1v1. We dropped the first game, I think, like very close, and we're like, okay, lock in, we can do this. Then we went to FD. It ended up being me versus Neo on last stock. He was at 116 and I was at like 40, but like when it comes to top 30 players in the world versus
yeah.
me, like that's impressive. Because
That is
the
impressive.
way I won it, I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit of a impatient thing on my end that it just happened to work. Maybe that's why it worked, Loki, thinking back on it. Because I had Bell
Yeah,
in my inventory and I tossed it out and I thought to myself when I threw it out, I was like, wait, I should have saved that. But he jumped into it. I was like, oh, up smash. And he just barely died. His DI was very good. And then game 3, me managed to take it. And I think, Yeah, then shoutouts to Newt and Slimboy for giving us the win on game 2 because we dropped the first game. Second game, I told Nick, okay, you need to bully Slim a lot more because we were playing like Slim's like least favorite characters, Samus, Pac-Man, and the win. I won a 2v1 off of like. So let me explain what happened. So after Nick lost his last stock, I was like, oh, damn, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. Because we had lost game 1. So this was a do or die. If we won this, we'd make winners top 8. So we were like, please, please, please. So I was being ledge trapped and they were doing the optimal thing of one person covers neutral get up, someone else covers roll. I think I like dropped down Fed, Slim Boy, and then like up through Newt onto the platform. So they both missed the tech. And they both rolled in at the same time to my up smash, and they both died at the same time.
It's crazy. No, that's nuts.
It was hilarious. Maybe I should have done that mid set, but I did kind of clown on them a little bit. I was like, "Hey, why would you guys do that?" And then
so cool.
Game 3 in Hollow, I told Nick, "Okay, now that like they're tilted for having lost in that way, we need to turn up the Slim Boy bullying to the maximum." So we literally just kind of ignored Newt and we're just hitting Slim over and over again until he drained Newt's stocks, and then we managed to win that way.
Nice.
Yep.
That's good.
And then we don't talk about top 8 because I was 2-0 to separate J Dizzle, and then to Violet Rebs because we both struggle against the frogs.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's a good run.
Yeah, that was a fun run. So TGX 2026 was a very fun tournament. But now, this is because this is like what's coming soon. This is the most exciting part is section 3, things going into floating point. This is what is your like overview, like initial thoughts on what the state of AuSmash is currently as we go into floating point in literally next week?
So it's a very exciting. Well, now I know that Zach has signed up. It is super exciting because we get another edition of what I consider the 2 players who exist in their own tier in Oz, which is Zach and Unpheasant. They really are they are far and away like the best players at the moment. And that is really exciting. And then obviously the Vic New South Wales rivalry has really ramped up between like Vic players going up to Epping a lot last year, and just like how floating point turned out last year. There's a big rivalry there at the moment. And I think even though the game is really moving on in its age, there are still so many players who want to prove themselves at the major level, regardless of scene. And there's obviously that scene versus scene rivalry, which still exists. For a long time in my articles, when I've talked about majors, I've pumped up the idea of the new guard taking over. It feels like we've moved away from your Smash 4 veterans, which defined early Ultimate. And now these guys who might have been raised on Wi-Fi or have come up since COVID are really starting to take over and show like, yeah, this is what AuSmash looks like now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. To recap floating point last year, let's do the same thing we did and go from the top. We have like a lot to talk about, but like the biggest point is Unpheasant versus J Dizzle. It was the first time they had ever versed that tournament, and it was in my head still to this day like the most like beautiful sets of Smash Ultimate or Smash that I've ever watched. I think especially winners semis where when Game 5 and Jono took it, I think that was just so good because, you know, everyone's cheering for their top dog. All the New South Walesians are like, on, Fez, and then we were chanting whatever cursed J Dizzle chanting that we were coming up with on the spot because we didn't have one, right? Because Jono was like, he would always win. You'd most of the time just cheer against him. So now we were like, no, come on, Jono. And there was people saying unhinged stuff behind me that I will not repeat on the podcast.
No, we cannot. But I remember sitting there thinking, I'm like, I lost my voice cheering for Young Link. What's wrong with me?
I remember, like, I think it even made Jono laugh. In fact, that's why I'm blaming that. I made Jono laugh and I distracted him from the set. Because, like,
Yeah.
when Grand Final started, I was like, yeah, Young Link, woo! And he turned around and he smiled at me. I was like, so good. So, yeah, Unpheasant took it. It went to Grand Final reset. They encountered each other in winner semis, and Jono took a game 5, which sent her. And I think that was the best outcome because it sent Unfez on the gauntlet of Vic in losers. So he got to
Yeah.
play Sepro, Jura, um, and Scobo, and instead of just seeing like Jono playing against all those guys again. So Jono beating Scobo in winners final, so he was just waiting in grands, and then we had other players like the interesting one was Zach out at 7th when I think he was like the second seed of that
Yeah.
tournament. It was interesting. Like he fell to Jura in winners, and I think it was game 5, and with Seb Pro it was 3-0 as well. It's probably the first time in a long time that Seb Pro had beaten him 3-0. And Bin top 8 at floating point was very nice to
Yeah.
see.
That was really impressive because Bin hadn't been interstate in 3 years. So no one knew what you were gonna get out of Bin. And then he's shown up and he played out of his mind. And it was really cool to see. Because I love watching both of Bin's characters. Because he plays two like kind of niche characters. And he plays them in such a sick way.
Yeah, and he brought out all of them, like the Link to beat, well, beat, and I think it was, what's the Pit to play Jura, and I think he tried both Link and Pit against Unpheasant as well.
Yeah.
So we got to see both of those, and Jura also brought out, like the whole shebang. Like there was Collab, there was Toon Link. I don't think I saw Sonic, but like that's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for the best.
Hope.
Now let's take a look at top 64. So at 9th we have Flow. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because the floating point venue, best venue at a major I've ever seen, the Fortress in
Yeah.
Sydney, because all of the sets at the stage you could see. You could choose to pay attention to whichever ones. You could take out your phone and film like 4 sets at once. It was so cool. So I was filming the last bit of Flow versus Beat. The last game wasn't very close, but that set going like it was so cool because I would have been happy with either player making top 8. We had
Yeah.
Bin beating Shmoo, which was probably impressive, like very impressive, I think, because Shmoo had been on like
Yeah.
a run. Shmoo was on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was his 6th losers set.
Yeah. Oh, because Shmoo was upset by P9. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, like, and that's more of the domino effect that we've been talking about this whole time. Because of that, the Chipotle, Coleman, Honk, Harry, and all of those players could have had like a chance to get a little higher. But I think P9 definitely benefited from the upset, obviously. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
P9 got to play Vec and beat Yash, because Yash was... I got to talk to Yash at the after party. He was there studying, and there was like his last week there, floating point. So he was going all out. And famously, Yash brought Jono to game 5. Like,
Yeah.
Jono had to bring out the Dark Jono to reverse 3-0 Yash. That was
Yeah,
such a good set.
That was crazy because I remember Yash going up 2-0. I'm like, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this Pokemon trainer is crazy. And the last time I saw him was off stage 100 where he lost to Skinny Pat. I'm like, this guy. I'm like, and he's pushing Jono. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. I think, like, and I overheard, like, Jono's conversation with Yash later, and he was like, and Jono was saying something like, yeah, I was kind of like, I was, like, you made me switch on, which is true. I think he was just kind of autopiloting until he realized, wait, this guy's, like, beating me. So, like, but seeing, like, locked in Jono is always a treat. And then Yash in losers dropping to P9 at 13th. Game 5 too, like that was to this day I think probably the best I've ever seen P9 play, because I was filming that as well, and he was like cooking.
And he played so good.
Yeah, and then went to go game 5 with Seb to lose for 9th. That was like another incredible set, and yeah, very close.
Yeah.
Um, then what else? We got Zach beating DMO. DMO was also on such a long losing streak. DMO eliminated Iceman, Newt, and Didi and Rello before losing to
Yeah.
Zach. Why was DMO there? Hold up. I gotta look at this. Oh, he was upset by Flo. That's right. That's another domino effect. Um,
Yeah. See, it's just that's how it goes.
that's wild. Um, Then in 13th we have Extra. I can't remember at the time like what how Extra was doing in Vic, but he did pretty well. Like beat 3-0 Meme God, game 4 with Flo, and I think how did he do in winners? Beat Giotto, game 4 with Seb. That's really good.
Yeah, he did really well. I was very impressed because yeah, sometimes you see extra play like these different characters in Vic, and then you forget when he turns up for majors, this guy can play.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Um, Harry Harry eliminated Beefy. Beefy, how did he do? I think he placed to seed, right? Or did he get
Yeah, he
upset?
did. I remember Beef being really upset about like placing seed. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
But it sent
maybe the
like
start of Beef's hatred of Luigi.
it might have been, yeah. Cause what else? Let's see. I'm looking at Rello's run. What was Rello doing in losers at top 64? Did he get upset in
Oh, he
uh
lost to Honk on day one.
oh, that's right. Yeah, that was wild because he still made a run to 13th, having that was another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losers sets, beating
Yeah.
Kengo, Rambo, Jodo, and Ryan, like NSW
Yeah.
Ryan. Yeah, what a nice run. Who else? We had, I guess from this point on, it's more. Oh no, J Rods. I want to talk about J Rods. J
Oh
Rods
yeah.
made it to what is that? Wait. So this is 9th, 13th, 17th, 25th. No, 17th. So he only lost to Yash. Taking a game off of Yash, which is already very respectable.
Yeah.
But he beat Slimboy, Isaac, Meshuga, and a Lolly in pools. Like he caused a Lolly to drown at that tournament because he upset someone in winners. No,
No.
he
So
was upset. Yeah, big mystery man.
yeah, that was really that was crazy. And then he got to work in Lucy's, and it was impressive because he was kind of like the lone soldier of his state because
Yeah,
this was such a Vic versus New South Wales, and then you're like, hang on, J Rods is still in. He's fighting the good fight for Queensland.
literally, like that whole thing, like did a whole bunch of things. Well, Mr. Big A Man made top 64 because of this, and
Yeah,
a lolly could have made it very far in top 64. I don't know if he could have made it as far as J-Rods did, but like Meshuggah, Isaac, Slimboy, like he could have had a real shot at like doing something crazy at that tournament if he hadn't drowned to J-Rods. Who else do we have? Who is this? Is this Rambo? No. No, that's oh, it's one of the Duck Hunt players who changes their tag all the time.
Drazi.
Yeah. So they yeah, game 5 with Vec. That's pretty good. Um and then, I'll give a shout out to my run as well because this was this is a nice one because I was so to go there I traveled by car with Lime and Iceman and on the way seating was released so we checked it out and I was like who's Yusuke. And Iceman started going like, "Oh no, you're fucked. You're fucked. Like this guy's the goat. This guy's the goat." I was like, "Oh, but like I could probably beat him." Like, no, 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 no. You have no chance. She was telling me I had zero chance. I was like, "Who do they play?" And I heard Sephiroth. I was like, "God damn it!" So I hit up Shrix on the car. In the car, I was like, "Hey Shrix, give me like I know we've never spoken, but like, come on, like, give me Sephiroth tips. Come on, man." I talked to
Oh yeah,
Zach as well, and I got as many of the notes as I could from both of them, and I studied like T versus Ned or something. Ken, sorry,
oh wow.
and it was through that I managed to take the set. It was very close. It went to game 3 last stock on FD, but yeah, I'm very happy with that because that set me up for a really good run. If I had lost that. I could have made like 33rd as well because of the players that I would have had, but it would have been less impressive. Because after that, I had beefy and lost to I still got tips beforehand, but I don't know, me brawl. I don't know what to do. Um,
Broken.
then I beat Orca Schmorka to make top 64, and then this was the story of myself versus Fierce, who will be in the Samus episode. I love this guy. This is one of my favorite people in all of AuSmash. So Fierce and I played for the first time at Journey to the West, right as we made it out of pools. So this is my second time making it out of pools, playing Fierce immediately. But at Journey to the West, I lost game 5 last stock. Last hit, I think. It was insane.
Wow.
And this time I was like, I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna beat him. Like, I love this guy, but I'm gonna make him look stupid. And I talked to Nick a lot, and I talked to like just all of the Discord. I was just like, give me tips for Samus, everything you have. And I mean, you were watching that set because I thank you for recording as well.
Yes.
It was such a clean recording. It was great. And then, so it was game 4 my way, and I popped off so hard because I don't like Samus. And yeah.
Not many do.
Yeah, because at the end of it there, I was like, I had a very good lead going, game 4, and then he started making a comeback, and I was getting hit by charge shots, and I was like, oh, god damn it. Because I made like a mistake and whatever, and then he missed a tech, and that's how I won the game. And then I played Newt, which makes this the second time that I have played an Interstater right up as I'm making top 64, beating an Interstater that I wasn't expected to beat, and then losing to Newt for 33rd. First one being
grim.
Crimson at BAM 14.
Oh, that's so grim.
Yeah.
I remember Static saying last year at his Christmas run, he's like, I've run out of interstators. Like, Victorians know. They're like, give me more interstators, please.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who else? Who else? Oh, wait, Ruba made top 64? Go, Ruba.
Yeah, he beat Sushi on day 1. So that was his way to get in, which was very impressive, because I think that was the first time he got out of pools at a major.
That's pretty good. Oh, wait, I'm noticing a bigger domino effect. So I want to give a shout out to Kizu from New Zealand, who was there. So Kizu, like, I've known him for, like, many years, because we're, like, in the same Discord and stuff, but, like, he's kind of, like, cracked at the game. He doesn't practice ever, but he's, like, very fundamentally sound. So I was very excited to not only, like, see him in person for the first time, but also see how he did in a bracket, like, setting, because I never even heard of him competing. He beat Fierce in pools 2-0, which is what sent Fierce my way, but also it sent Fierce to beat Morgon. Like, Morgon drowned at that tournament, because I think he was a high seed.
It was a top 16 seed, so that was crazy.
Yeah, so insane. I remember seeing, like, before Fierce beat Morgon, I had put on the, you know how you tick the show projected? I saw Morgon day 2. I was like, what am I doing, bro? And then that changed to Fierce. I was like, yes, man.
Yes, we're back in it.
What a good tournament.
That was so
great.
good.
And it's looking to be a B tier, right? This coming one.
So currently trending towards B tier, which is, super impressive.
So for those who might not know, because do you want to quickly explain how the tier system works for tournaments?
Yeah. So any tournament that is not a weekly or like a regular tournament will be tiered. So D tier is your lowest level that it's considered to be tiered. And once a bracket is tiered, certain players, depending how good they do, can be ranked for points to show like, oh, this player is really good. So B, C, and D are the ones before actual majors. Typically an Oz major will be B or C, usually because of the size of the bracket, or like a couple of really good Oz players will play. And then P, S, and A are your major tiers, which are your really big events, which you'd see on stream where you're like, oh, there's 1,000 people at this tournament. It's a really big tournament.
Yeah.
But typically ours are B or C, which by the ranking system they use is what are called regionals. But because it's about the biggest we can get, in Oz, we call them majors.
Yeah. And I'm trying to hold up. I don't have like the sign up for for FP 2026. But how come it's B? Like, who's going?
Um, so it would be to do with the multiplier because I've got the attendees list up at the moment, and you have 147 players right now. We still have, I think, just over a week till signups close because they've got their normal rego. Sorry, they got their late rego at the moment, and then next week they have the I hate TOs rego still running, which is a very funny way to put it.
Yep.
Um, but obviously, a lot of your big players are signed up. So you've already got Unpheasant, Scobo, Zach, your twins, Beefy and Honk, Meme God, and even some high ranks from other scenes. So like Jamie from SA, Q from SA, Finn, Smay. We have a lot of people who are top representatives of their states, which is what is pushing it up towards a B tier.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Cause
Yeah.
yeah, with 2025, there wasn't too many people from not that weren't Vic or New South Wales. But what's the estimate like spread right now of like the different states that we're gonna see? It's probably still gonna be mostly New South Wales. Maybe second place will be Vic, and then
Yeah.
a mix of
And then
others. But yeah, more mixed.
And you're seeing like a really big influx from South Australia, which is really impressive because South Australia haven't had like a big turnout in a major since I would probably say BAM 14
Hmm.
is the last time we really saw a lot of South Australia at a major. And then with WA as well is also turning out in big chunks and probably the most we've seen out of them since they had their major last year with Journey to the West.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Journey to the West was like the WA major, which was very nice. But it's good to see that they're traveling from there because it's obviously harder for them because plane tickets are more expensive.
Yeah, that's expensive.
But yeah, and this is another thing, like I guess because we're getting closer to the end of the episode. I guess before we get to like no, the major experience is something that like we should talk about as well because it's not
Yeah,
just about competing, right? It's about going with your friends, especially interstate majors. Oh my, like
there's nothing like it.
it there really isn't. It's like um it's basically like a trip with your friends, but it's you're practicing for something like it's so much bigger than it's just the big thing. Like everyone's talking about it. And even though it's literally like a 3 to 4 day trip, it's like so good. You get up to some shenanigans. Um,
Yeah.
let's give some. We can give some shout outs to funny stories from um, previous majors. Like Journey to the West was my first ever interstate major, and for some of the stories I won't expose names, but for example, one of the players that I was staying with is a sleepwalker, and I didn't know this until I was awoken on night one by them like
Wow.
grabbing my chest and were like, "What's going on? Who's here? Who's here?" I was like, "It's just me, bro. Are you okay?" And then they were like, "Yeah, yeah," but like, "Who else is here?" And they were like feeling the rest of the bed, like looking around, like, "What is going on?" And then they stood up, left the room, came back, and they were like, oh, I'm so sorry," and then I fell back asleep. The next day, I talked to them like, hey, how'd you sleep? And they go like, "Good." I'm like, "Do you remember what you put me through last night?" And they're like, "What?" Because they apparently
That's
didn't know. So that was funny, and we had like an extra person on the last night who wasn't expected to like stay with us because they were at like a hotel and we didn't want them to pay like super expensive, like, "Hey, join us." And there wasn't like a bed for them, so we had all the pizza boxes we'd been using
oh
throughout
no
the
way.
so what we did is so the couch, right? You know how
Yep.
if you lie down on a couch that has like high armrests, it's uncomfortable because your neck's like so stretched forward
Yeah.
upwards. What we did is we took all the pizza boxes, put them underneath the couch cushions so that it's like leveled, and then he just slept on the couch of pizza boxes.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
It was so good. But yeah, very exciting, and I can't wait to see like what shenanigans we get up to in floating. But what about you? What kind of stories do you
I
have?
th- I think the most vivid memory will have to go to the last interstate major I went to, which was Pismas 6. And I traveled with Iceman and Static and I I knew right from the start. Well, we're gonna have like some chaos because like I meet up with Static at the airport, and he's like to me, he's like, I've got the rollerblades, but I think I'm gonna get kicked out if I wear them in the airport.
No.
And even when we were there, so Queensland public transport is 80 cents, and this is and on the first night after day one, we're heading back, and Static is like, I'm fare evading because of the principle, and we're like, dude, it's 80 cents. And then he sees that the the patrol officers who check to make sure you've tapped on get on the tram, and we see him despawn frame one, and then Iceman and I are like, why did he do that? And then he shows up at the hotel room, like, I'm not even joking, like probably 40-50 minutes later, and we're like, why did you fare evade? It's 80 cents. He said, it's about the principle. And I'm just, I couldn't believe it.
That sounds
Because,
that sounds like a Static thing.
yeah. So that was an all-time trip. Both for the shenanigans involved with Static, but also like it was great to be like, I don't know, the number one supporter of Iceman in that run. Like that was an all-time weekend. So that's the peak of interstate majors. You get the highs of like the bracket experience, but you also get stories that you will never forget, like ever.
Yeah, like they both did super well at that tournament. Like,
Yeah.
Static was like made top 8 at a major. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
With King DDD.
King DDD.
King DDD. It's so funny. All right. Well, I think that we might be at the spot where we wrap up the episode. Do you have any closing thoughts on both TGX and the upcoming Floating Point before we end this thing?
To be selfish for a moment about TGX. TGX was awesome purely for the fact I got to win on stream. Like that was great. I like look at my bracket. I'm like, Lemon Ace. Oh no, that's an international player. I'm gonna be put on stream. And it was like more pressure because I look who's on the mic, and it's FICO and Rambo, and it's like, okay, one of them plays Corin, one of them plays Wii Fit. Lemon Ace also plays Wii Fit, and I'm like, oh, because I'm too used to
analyzing the interactions,
and I'm like too used to like missing something in the Wii Fit matchup when I play Rambo. He's like, you're an idiot. How could you miss that? But I won the set, and that was really cool. But in general, like TGX was such a fun experience this year because it was probably the first time I went where I got both sides of the TGX experience. So like did good in the bracket, like that was really fun, and then also like really got around the art and everything else that is involved in TGX. So that was such a cool experience.
Yeah,
and then yeah, like Floating Point, I will say it will be the highlight of this year. I'm not going, unfortunately.
Oh no.
I've got to teach, unfortunately. It's the first week back. If it was literally a week earlier, I could do it. And that's what I'm like bummed about. Because last year was so fun. I had the best time last year. But it'll be a great major. Like, it's not as stacked as last year, but it's a very different feeling major. I've been saying to people, it's more like a 2024 major where you've got all these scenes coming together. You've got the high level of all these scenes are making their way there. So it's really going to be this dogfight of like which scene is going to show their stuff, particularly the ones that haven't been around heaps recently. So it'll be really interesting. On top of your Zach Unpheasant rivalry and how the top of Vic and New South Wales do, you've got all these other states to be like, what have they been up to? That's what's going to be really fascinating to watch. And as always, I'll be covering the whole thing.
Yeah, I agree. Like the TGX is a very fun major. It was nice to get my first win on Necro ever and looking at all the art. Like, and shout outs to all the artists that were involved that had stalls in TGX. Like, it was so good to see. Like, really, really good to see. Like at a time of so much slop by AI, it was great to be surrounded by human created art. Like, it was truly incredible. And with Floating Point, Well, I'm also be selfish. My only hope is that I do well and that I have a fun experience. Like I'm very happy with the group I'm traveling with. I'll be going with Big Man, John Gravity, and P9
Oh,
and
that's fun.
Nop, which is gonna be quite fire. And yeah, I think this will be a good time to test how where I am in
Yeah.
comparison with other people. So yeah, we'll definitely be making an episode post floating point because like we said, it's gonna be it. This is the 2026 major. So we've there will there oh my god. There will be a lot to talk about once that's
Yes.
over. So thank you very much, Ravsav, for coming on the show. I hope you'll be down to cover more majors in the future when they do come.
Certainly. It was a pleasure to come on and run my mouth about what makes our majors so fun.
Yeah, 100%. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode of Bracket in Session. Look forward to the next episode. We'll get started on the characters. First off, which has already been pre-recorded and edited. It's ready to go as of recording this, but we'll have Unpheasant to talk to us about Mario, which is very exciting. So yeah, take care, and we'll see you guys in the next one.